Hi there, boys and girls. Okay, we've made it to chapter 36 and 11. There are only 40 chapters in this book, so I'm going to go ahead and read two today, 36 and 37, and we will finish this book tomorrow. All right, let's go. Chapter 36, The Man in the White Shirt. 7:12 p.m. The man in the white shirt picked up his pace as he saw the buses lined up in the commuter lot, engines idling at the low rumble. He walked down the row until he found the one he was looking for, Jersey City, home. But as the doors to the bus hissed open, the man in the white shirt held back. Next to the parking lot stood a payphone with 20 people waiting to use it. He'd been trying to call home all day but hadn't been able to get through. He was anxious to reach his family, to let them know he was okay. Passengers jostled past him and climbed onto the bus, eager to get home. The man in the white shirt stood there. He'd been moving all day, on the run, never stopping. Now he was paralyzed, unable to make up his mind. "You coming?" the bus driver asked sharply. He sounded impatient and tired. It had been a long day for him, too. The man in the white shirt looked from the bus to the payphone. "On or off, Mac. I ain't got all night." The man in the white shirt made up his mind. He headed for the phone. There would be more buses. "Stop the bus!" The man in the white shirt saw an older, heavy-set woman limping toward him and waving her arm like a broken windmill. He turned and sprinted after the bus, which had just edged away from the curb. He caught up with it and smacked his palm on the door. The bus jerked to a halt. The door flung open, nearly hitting him in the face. "Wait," he told the driver. The bus driver scowled, but he waited. "Thank you," the limping woman gasped, out of breath, as a man in the white shirt boosted her up the bus steps and helped her down the aisle to an empty row. The instant she was settled, the bus lurched and pulled away. The man in the white shirt staggered and turned to glare at the driver, who shot him a challenging look in the mirror. The man in the white shirt felt the blood rise into his face. After all he'd been through, why should he have to put up with this jerk? But then he took a deep breath, exhaled, and settled into an empty row. He'd kept it together this far, no reason to lose it now. The phone call would have to wait. He sat back, closed his eyes, and let the bus carry him south. And chapter 37 is called Sunshine. It's 7:12 p.m. So if you look at the time frame, it was 7:12 when the man in the white shirt was getting on the bus. We still don't know who the man in the white shirt is, but we do know that it's 7:12 where Alex and Nunu are at, and they finally made it home, okay? Or they're almost home. Chapter 37, Sunshine. The sun was just going down as Alex turned the corner onto his block. By the time he reached his front door, his legs were quivering and his arms were about to fall off. Nunu had completely run out of steam, a half block from the bus stop, so Alex carried her the rest of the way home. With his backpack on his back and Nunu in his arms, in front of like a papoose, he looked like an apple with legs. Radar trotted beside them, carrying Nunu's backpack, the handle clenched in his teeth, always careful to keep his head up so it wouldn't scrape the ground. As Alex fished in his pocket for his key, he noticed little details around the porch. The broken front step where he'd fallen and knocked out his first baby tooth, the loose rail Nunu loved to climb on to jump into her daddy's arms, the bushes in front where he and Dougie and Quan had piled up used Christmas trees last winter to make a fort. He noticed the peeling paint on the shutters that his dad had repainted just last year, and the brown stain on the driveway where his mom had tried to refinish an old table. He took it all in. The big elm tree and the dying rose bush, the freshly mowed lawn and the missing shingle by the chimney, the darkened windows by the warm glow of the porch light. It felt good to be home. Nunu roused as he lowered her to the ground. She rubbed her eyes with her one hand and her nose with the other. Alex eased the front door open. Inside, the house was dark. "Anybody home?" he called out. Silence answered back. Wow. Okay, I love how the writer used figurative language there. He used an example of personification. Personification is when you give a human quality to something that's not human. And in this case, he said, silence answered back, if you look right here. So that was a great use of figurative language. Nunu took her backpack from Radar and dropped it in the front hall. Where's Mommy and Daddy? She asked. Not home yet. Alex was halfway to the bathroom when he realized that Radar hadn't followed them inside. The dog hung back on the porch, skittish and unsure of himself. He kept approaching the doorway and then jumped back. Alex waved him in. Come on, boy, that's it. Radar whimpered and paced back and forth but wouldn't come in. Nunu reappeared. What's the matter with him? Alex thought about the house that Radar came from, or what was left of it. No wonder why the dog didn't trust houses. He's just a little scared, said Alex. There's nothing to be scared of, Radar, Nunu said, and then she walked onto the porch, put her hands on his butt, and gave him a great big push. Radar shot through the door and skidded across the floor. While he scrambled to get his footing, Alex quickly shut the door behind Nunu so he couldn't run away. Radar stood stock still, nose twitching as he sniffed the air. What do you think? Asked Alex. Radar gave one loud bark of approval, whacked the wall 3 times with his tail, and then bolted straight for the living room, sniffing everything he passed on the way. I think he likes it, Nunu smiled. Alex made a beeline for the bathroom because, well, they'd been gone a really long time. When he came back out, Radar had made himself right at home and was stretched out across the big lounge chair in the living room. Hey, that's my dad's chair. Out! Alex motioned for Radar to move. The dog climbed up over the arm and dropped onto the couch. Nunu flopped down next to him and reached for the remote. Alex realized what would be on every channel that night. He stepped quickly in front of the TV. Chores, Nunu. I'm tired. You know the rule. Chores before dinner. Nunu moaned and slid off the front of the sofa. Who's going to cook dinner? She asked, shuffling off to the kitchen. Alex hadn't thought of that. He headed to the kitchen after her. Behind him, Radar sat up, waiting till the coast was clear, then climbed across the arms of the sofa and straight back into the big comfy chair. Alex's mom kept a tiny TV on the kitchen counter next to the stove. Alex waited as Nunu pulled an empty garbage bag from under the sink and headed back to the bedroom to collect all the trash. Then he flicked on the TV to catch the latest news on the disaster, keeping one eye on the hot dogs he was frying and one eye out for Nunu. But the stations didn't have much news to report, and watching the towers fall again and again wasn't making him feel any better, so he turned it off. Suddenly, Alex heard voices in the other room. He dropped the pan with a clang and went sprinting into the living room. But it was only the TV. Radar had stepped on the remote. Alex flicked off the TV and then motioned for Radar to vacate his dad's lounge chair. Radar, out. He tucked his tail and slinked off the chair. Alex tugged him by the neck to the other side of the room and settled him in the corner. Then he headed back in to finish dinner. Radar followed him, with his eyes all the way out the door. Back in the kitchen, Alex found a box of instant macaroni and cheese and tried to follow the recipe on the back. When everything in the pot turned safety vest orange, he figured he'd done it right. Satisfied, he licked the extra cheese dust out of the creases of the packet. While he was cooking, the phone rang. Alex snatched it up quickly. Hello? Hey, Alex. Oh, hey, Dougie. Alex tried to hide his disappointment. What's up? Quan and me, Doug's voice trailed off. He got a running start and tried again. Hey, sorry we ditched you. Oh, you had to. It was Jordan. Every man for himself. Nah, that wasn't cool, though, said Dougie, sounding relieved. Don't worry about it. You guys get away okay? Yeah, but what happened? Radar. Oh, that's my dog's name, by the way. Ooh, awesome name. Well, Jordan was about to pulverize me when Radar snuck up behind him and growled. No way! Oh, you should have seen the look on Jordan's face. I can't believe I missed it. Man, I have no life. Radar was like this total hero. He chased them all the way out of the park. They were screaming like babies the whole time. Did he bite him? Please tell me there was blood. Tore his back pocket off. Epic. They both laughed until they fell into an awkward silence. Did you see the news? Dougie asked him quietly. Yeah, said Alex. Your mom and dad home? Yeah. Yours? Not yet. Silence crackled on the line. Alex swallowed hard, a sudden lump in his throat. Hey, thanks for calling, Dougie. Talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, later. Alex hung up the phone and turned off the burners on the stove. Dinner's ready, he called, and then smiled as Radar came padding in. Alex was about to drop a hot dog on the floor for him, but Radar caught it in midair and hovered it down hoovered it down in one gulp. Then looked expectantly at Alex to see what came next. Radar got 4 more hot dogs that evening, while Alex and Nunu gobbled down their mac and cheese and hot dogs almost as fast as Radar. When they finished dinner, Alex wet the corner of the napkin in his glass and wiped Nunu's face, just like his mother always did. After dinner, Alex cleaned the pots and plates, with a little help from Radar's tongue, while Nunu got her PJs on. Alex figured she'd put up a fight about bedtime, but Nunu was too tired to argue. She could barely stop yawning long enough to brush her teeth. Alex followed Nunu into the bedroom and over to her pink bed. There were dolls lying over the flight line, but he let it go. It didn't seem like such a big deal anymore. Nunu yawned and climbed into bed. Alex shut off the light and then pulled up the covers and tucked her in. Nunu yawned again. When's Mommy coming home? Soon. And Daddy? Alex hesitated. Soon, he replied. Alex, are you sad? The question took him by surprise. Nunu was watching him with a serious expression. I guess I'm still no good at keeping my feelings off my face, he thought. A little, he answered. I know. You do? How could she know? He tried so hard to protect her from the terrifying news that day. Nunu nodded gravely. Mommy and Daddy forgot about your birthday. Whew, Alex exhaled a sigh of relief. Nunu frowned. I'm mad at them. Oh, don't be mad. But I am. Please, Nunu. Please don't be mad at them. I'm not. See? They didn't forget. They're just running late. They'll be here soon, okay? He pulled the covers up. Now just go to sleep. She kicked him off. No, I'm not sleepy. Alex laughed. Yes, you are. No. You haven't stopped yawning since we got home. She shook her head and rubbed her eyes. But it's bedtime, he pleaded. No, she said firmly. Come on, Noons, just go to sleep. No, you can't tell me what to do. You're not Daddy. And then she burst into tears and buried her head in the pillow. I want Daddy, she wailed. Alex felt totally overwhelmed. He sat on the edge of the bed, nervously bouncing his leg and holding his ears in frustration. He wanted to run away. He wanted Nunu to stop crying. He wanted his dad to come home. He wanted everything to be back to normal. And then it hit him. That's all Nunu wanted too. Alex remembered what their father always did at bedtime. He closed his eyes and pictured his dad just coming home from work, sitting on the edge of Nunu's bed, the sleeves of his wrinkled white shirt rolled up, his strong hands working their magic as they led Nunu into sleep. Alex opened his eyes. He reached out, just like his father, and quietly began to stroke Nunu's head. Nunu shifted on her pillow, unburying her face. Alex continued to brush her hair with his fingers, drawing his hand across her forehead in long, slow strokes, barely touching her, as soft as if he were petting a baby bird. Nunu's breathing began to slow, and Alex leaned down close to her ear. And then, quiet as a whisper, Alex began to sing. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never... He paused, waiting for her to chime in. This was always her favorite part. But Nunu had drifted off, so Alex sang it for her. No, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. And then he bent down and kissed Nunu softly on the head. Wow, Alex sure has changed from the morning, hasn't he? Remember at the beginning of the story in the morning, or actually the night before, when the dad was singing that song with Nunu, he was so mad that they were singing that song because he hates hearing that song. And then here he is, stepping in, taking the role of the dad, being responsible. Have you noticed he's showing responsibility, what the parents wanted him to prove that he could do? So Alex has changed a lot in this book since the beginning of the book. All right, we will finish the book tomorrow, chapters 38 through 40. Have a good night. Bye.